Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Gabi, for the introduction. And it's a pleasure for me to introduce you to the current developments regarding the Artisan C-Sync standard. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'm happy if you, Gabi, give me a quick feedback if you can see the screen.
Yes.
Very nice. So we introduced a new protocol for tri-meta assessment in Global Artisan C-Sync. And our vision at Carbon Standards International is that we create a reliable and innovative framework to empower partners and individuals committed to cooling down the planet. We are a leading organization in the carbon dioxide removal market and target exponential growth. And as doing so, we have more than 100 validated C-Sync projects in our registry, out of which more than 50 are global artisan C-Sync projects. And in total, there are more than 600,000 tons of CO2 equivalents issued as biochar C-Syncs, so C-Syncs as in carbon removal credits, out of which 80% are transferred or retired, which means they already found a market and they are, at least transferred to a trader and or sold to a client and therefore retired. Our Artisan C-Sync standard is our most successful standard, and it combines simple, wide available technology with rigorous monitoring to generate secure and trustworthy C-Syncs. It's currently undergoing a revision aimed at making it even more robust and reliable. Our guiding principle remains unchanged. We take the most practical approach that still delivers the level of precision required for high integrity carbon removal. Currently, we are looking at the tri-meta analysis, which is the topic of today's webinar and which is in public consultation until next Thursday. So you are invited to share your feedback on the standard on this specific methodology and to provide your feedback during the public consultation period. And this webinar is part of this public consultation period. Furthermore, we are working on biomass moisture analysis and the corresponding methane values. It's in the pipeline to become published and therefore become open for public consultation. Both methods will become mandatory for dry matter. The method we are presenting today will become mandatory for dry matter determination following the public consultation and then the publication of the updated C-Sync standard, and will have a transition period for 3 months. For the other one, for the biomass moisture analysis and the corresponding methane values, the public consultation is still to start, as I said, and it will be implemented only after public consultation to the standard. I would like to invite you on a small detour to look a little bit behind the scenes if we are speaking about the feedstock moisture content that I was speaking about, that this is the second bigger update that we are targeting right now. So the conditions are known. For the lowest methane value to be applied, the feedstock moisture content must not exceed 15%. However, this gives a lot of room for interpretation, and a condition is not a guideline. As a standard developer, we go the extra mile to find methods that are practical in the field. And I have a video for you that shows how much a clear definition matters, because here you can see a moisture meter, a common one, and it's put into some feedstock, straw, and it's just moved a little. The bag is a little compressed, and you can see all values from 9% to 20% of moisture, while the actual moisture of this feedstock was 23%. So you can clearly see this moisture meter wouldn't be suitable for the job. And we, as a standard developer, have to define methods that work in the field and give you reliable and trustworthy results and are reproducible. So coming back to dry matter determination, I quickly want to motivate why it's so important. So if we speak about these things, what we are most interested in is the amount of carbon. Carbon content is a property of biochar that's given in relation to dry matter. So our task is to find out the dry matter of a pile of biochar. And this creates a challenge in everyday business, in the field, because biochar is quenched after production. So direct weighing gives you the wet weight, not the dry matter. And even if you would not quench biochar or let it there for drying, biochar has a very high humidity sorption ability. So at high relative humidity, it shows significant water uptake from moist air. Therefore, you'll almost never have dry biochar in front of you that you could weigh directly. And therefore, we need to come up with a protocol on how to reliably determine the dry matter of a pile of biochar in order to know the amount of carbon inside this pile of biochar. We came up with that methodology, and that's the dry matter assessment presented today. It has 3 main points. It provides direct field calibration. So it's a statistically valid method to calibrate volumetric or wet basis mass measurements against dry matter determination. It requires high frequency updates, so to account for natural fluctuations in production, in weather conditions and feedstock conditions, the method mandates frequent calibration, ensuring that the values are always true and reflect the properties of the biochar that's produced. And we enhance the precision by integrating the thermogravimetric moisture analysis as a core requirement to ensure the highest accuracy in dry weight assessment. So you have 2 methods, that you can choose from, and Simon will explain them in more detail afterwards. First is the bulk density method that should be done, that is eligible for Artisan Pro, C-Sync Network, and C-Sync Cooks, and has to be done once per month or every 100 cubic meters, whichever comes first. Then there is, for C-Sync networks, it has to be done once per year or every 500 cubic meters. And for C-Sync Cooks, it's once per month. So what you do if you use bulk density, you do continuous volume measurements during your production. So whenever you produce, you determine the volume. And you use a conversion factor, the bulk density, that you determine according to these frequencies to calculate from your volume measurement to the dry matter and thus to the C content. There's another method, that's the maximum moisture method, which is available for Artisan Pro. Here you do continuous wet weight measurements and use the moisture content or the maximum moisture content of biochar as a conversion factor to determine the dry matter. So the calibration of this conversion factor of the maximum moisture content is done once per month or every 100 cubic meters, whichever comes first. And continuously you do wet weight measurements. That's it from my side. I'm happy to respond to questions or to hand over to Simon.
Yes, I see one question in the chat. Why is the maximum moisture method not available for C-Sync network?
Hey, yes, thank you, Lawrence, for that question. Before I start going a bit more into detail of the dry matter assessment methods and how they are done, yeah, we can already tackle that question. I think it is just that the maximum moisture content method is a bit more complicated, and you'll see that in the handling and in the practicality that for a network, it would be quite difficult to get accurate results, whereas with Artisan's Pro, we feel that that would be possible. We see that with a network that would be quite more challenging.
All right, thank you.
I will now go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. And then we dive a bit deeper into how this is actually done practically on the ground. So I have a short tutorial actually for the dry matter assessment. We look first into the bulk density methodology that we've developed. Can you shortly confirm if you can see the presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So for the purpose of the bulk density assessment protocol, we've actually prepared a short video, which is around 7 minutes, to give some insights on how this can be done in the field. So I would now go ahead and just play that. As I said, it would take some minutes, and then we talk through it step by step. Come to the tutorial for bulk density assessment of our recently produced.
Yes, we have sound.
Let me show you briefly what we got here. We got our closable container that contains the biochar, and we got our standard measurement box here that is exactly 30 liters. We got inner dimensions of 25 centimeters by 25. You can see that here. And the height is 48 centimeters. So let's start by emptying the biochar contained in here onto the tarp. Okay, now we'll start filling our standardized box. And to do so, we'll select biochar at least from 12 different spots of the pile. Now that the box is filled, we'll make sure that it's completely flush. So I exclude all the biochar that is above the rim. Make sure it's only filled exactly to the rim of the box. Once we have our box filled, we're going to transfer the 30 liters of biochar into a bag. And then with the bag, we can move the biochar, transport it to our lab, or directly proceed to weighing the biochar. The volume is now fixed. So the 30 liters is what we've assessed right now. We transferred into the bag, and this 30 liters is a given volume. Now we'll be weighing the biochar. We can use a simple hanging scale or any other scale that you have at your site available. The important thing is that the accuracy is at least at 10 grams. And then we can record the fresh weight of the biochar. So now directly after assessing the fresh weight of the bag of biochar, we're going to empty the bag on the tarp and homogenize the biochar. And now we're going to shovel it from one pile, making another pile and back 3 times in total. So just shovel by shovel, we transfer our pile and thus mixing it, just to ensure that we later on can take representative samples. Okay. Okay, so next step is sampling of our biochar. So I got a measurement cup here of 250 milliliters. And we will take one 250 milliliter sample per bag. And each sample will be randomly taken from 10 spots across the pile. So you can use that, do that with your hand or with a spoon, and you just slowly fill up the container. And we also store this in our bag so we don't lose any of this. Okay, so now we're here inside where we have our moisture analyzer placed. It's important that this is set up stable and leveled. You can see that here in the indication. And now we will process the samples that we took outside. 250 milliliters are in here. Now we're going to use the mortar and pestle to crush the biochar a little bit, just to make sure that the moisture analyzer can actually dry the biochar properly. I'm going to show you how this is done. Now we crush the biochar with mortar and pestle to a maximum particle size of roughly 5 millimeters. Now we got our biochar here, and now we're gonna put that into the moisture analyzer. Moisture analyzer, if we look inside, actually the sample is placed here and the plate is quite small, so we can transfer roughly 10 grams into that. So it's very sensible, so usually we close the lid and we can tear it, and then we can start filling our sample. And we can take from multiple spots, small bits. With a small spoon, usually it's quite appropriate to do this. Now we got 10.18 grams inside, and we use the auto drying mode. Temperature set to 105 degrees, and the mode is slow, at the option between fast, normal and slow. And we use the slow mode in this case, and then we start drying. After roughly 31 minutes, we see that the moisture analyzer is done. The moisture content of the sample is 68.64%. And last but not least, we submit the data to CSI, and that's it. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your bulk density assessment. Welcome to the tutorial for bulk. Okay, so that video should serve as a short tutorial for the bulk density assessment protocol, just to give also a visual explanation on how you could imagine that measurement to be carried out on site in the field. And that's, well, one of the main benefits, of course, of this protocol, that is something that can be done directly in the field. And I just want to briefly summarize the main steps. We've seen that now in some extent in the video already, but first and foremost, what is important is that we have an accurate assessment of the volume. So that's why we have a standardized box with a fixed and known volume of 30 liters. We can then transfer the biochar from the box into a bag and transport it, if you wish, to your local lab or to your office or wherever. The important point is that the volume in the bag is not going to change. It's a fixed and known volume already. And then once you start your analysis, it's important that all the subsequent steps are done right after another, one by one. First, you do the fresh weight assessment of the 30 liters of biochar that you have. So we get the fresh weight, we then homogenize the biochar, we take a subsample and crush it gently with mortar and pestle. Then we transfer around 10 grams in the moisture analyzer and can then receive the water content and the dry matter analysis. So in the end, we'll have well, the volume, the fresh weight, and the water content that allows us to calculate the dry matter per volume, so the bulk density for your specific biochar. And then, as Patrizia mentioned, there's also an alternative and second method that we developed newly for this purpose, and it's what we call the so-called maximum moisture content method. We also have a protocol for this, and I just want to go through it step by step. This is the one where we said, okay, we'll for now only make this available for Artisan Pro operations. And one of the reasons for it can already be seen in step 1. It's that we start by quenching the biochar in the kiln, and we actually have to fill the kiln completely with water until the biochar starts to float. And then we leave it to saturate for 1 hour. So we really saturate the biochar fully with water. We can then release the water and empty the kiln. We homogenize our biochar and we take 3 15 kilogram samples. So here it's important to record the exact weights, and we will work with triplicates, and it should be around 15 kilograms. But most important is that you record the exact weight. So if it's 14.85, that's completely fine, but you need to record the exact weight of each bag. Once the weight is recorded, we also need to process it swiftly, because we want to not lose any moisture that is contained in the biochar. So no time for drying. We open the first bag, we empty it on a tarp, we homogenize it as seen in the video by shoveling it from one pile to another 3 times. And then we also take a subsample similarly to the other protocol. We brush it also with the mortar and pestle, so we can then transfer it in the moisture analyzer. And here, all this is done as triplicate. So you have 3 15 kilogram samples that you took from your kiln. This makes 3 subsamples of 250 milliliters, and then also each of those samples is processed in the moisture analyzer, so you get 3 results for the moisture content of the biochar that you just produced. And then also this data is submitted, and what it allows us to do is actually to directly calculate from the fresh weight of the biochar that you record after quenching to the dry matter that you have produced. And that is the main benefit of these new 2 protocols, and I hope this step-by-step guide was helpful to understand how it works in the field. So that was my part of the presentation.
Thank you, Simon, for this
Any questions
very
regarding
interesting
that?
video. There is one question in the chat. Is the video available afterwards? Maybe you can say where the video can be found.
Yeah, we'll make it available. I mean, it will be part of this webinar recording, but also as a standalone, we will make it available so you can download it, and there's no problems because I realize it might have been shaky or patchy during that. Yeah.
All right. Another question has come in. Has CSI considered taking the 30 little bulk density sample directly at the point of production before transfer to the retention container and then weighing the full accumulated 90 liter volume, rather than re-extracting a sample after handling? I'm wondering how the current approach ensures comparably with production fresh volume conditions, given that the 3 days storage, handling and shoveling may influence particle size distribution and packing behavior. For example, the risk that the sample has smaller sized particles than the freshly produced biochar at the kiln could pack more weight in the same volume.
Do you want to answer, Simon, or should I?
Yeah, I can briefly give my perspective. Yeah, so we've considered that risk actually, and also I tested that with the result or why we now have it like that with the retention container and the larger sample in there from which we take the 30 liters is that it is more representative of your production, and we have not found that this transferring from the container and then taking the 30 liter samples really altered the bulk density in that step.
I just want to add that if you take it production fresh from one production, you have a very representative sample for this one Contiki run or for this production batch. But the idea was to have a sample that actually represents several production runs, and there is a condition. Luki will mention this later again, and Simon mentioned it in the video, to store the sample airtight to minimize these influences of the storage time.
All right, thank you too. There's one question that I missed from the Q&A. This is probably for Patrizia. Do you expect the newly adopted EU methodologies or the broader CRCF framework to influence or lead to changes in the Artisan ceasing standard for carbon removal projects?
CRCF is the carbon removal certification framework of the EU, where project location has to be within the European Union. And as Artisan ceasing is available in low and middle income countries according to the World Bank certification classification, CRCF does not influence Artisan ceasing standard.
Okay, thank you. There's another question that came in the chat. Can you please elaborate on the thesis behind allowing a frequency of sampling and bulk density of 500 for C-Sync networks and keeping it every 100 for Artisan Pros?
I'll start and you can add if I miss something, Simon. There is the balance between practicability and accuracy. And for Artisan Pros, we have centralized productions and we have very high production volumes. And so we require a sample once per month and have the lower threshold there because the total amount is so much bigger. While for the networks, it's a huge logistic problem to be solved to take the sample, and therefore we lowered the total amount is bigger here, while the production and the application of this biochar is done in the farmers' gardens, and the farmers all work with the same feedstock, with the same production technology, and so we considered this sufficient.
All right, thank you. Has CSI compared the variance between the bulk density method and the maximum moisture method?
Yes, so I've tested both methods with the same biochar, and I can confirm that the result in terms of dry matter was the same in the end, so that worked very well.
Okay, thank you. Did you make samples with this method with tropical wood cuttings and tropical wood byproducts? I see method scale problems due to the very high density of mass.
Maybe you can clarify that question, because no, we did not use tropical wood. I used woody biomass to test the methods and straws, but I don't see the problem in terms of the biochar resulting from that tropical wood in order to scale. So maybe you can clarify that.
Okay, we will come back to this. Just if you're going to accept the results.
Yes, of course. I mean, we developed these methods to assess biochar production and dry matter of the biochar around the globe in all products, in all projects. So this is not limited to a specific biomass, if you will, or feedstock.
All right, thank you. Is the lab desk weight base moisture meter our minimum requirement for determining moisture content? We are wondering if the probe type / electronic moisture meter can be considered as well, even with accuracy concerns, since it's widely available.
Yeah, actually, the working principle of these two different methods vary a lot. So in this case, yes, you do need the moisture analyzer that we've just seen in the video, or a drying oven, to accurately determine the dry matter of the biochar. These electronic probes are generally not available to test biochar, so they have generally a cutoff at 50% moisture. Even for woody biomass, your biochar will often be larger, and then of course it's not calibrated for biochar, let alone for biochar produced from different feedstocks. So that's why we require this moisture analyzer, which, as you could see in the video, what it actually does is it dries the biochar and considers the weight loss.
Okay, thank you very much. I see no other questions in the chat, and I think we can give the word to Luki.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gabi. I will share my screen, and please let me know if you can see it.
Yes, this works.
Yes.
Okay. So I will be explaining about the implementation to the project. So we listened, and this update was done from the request and concern of several system managers and also the market regarding the credibility, integrity, and the repetition. And we work together with our technical committee, with Ithaca Institute and partners to solve this issue. through refining methodology, as Patrizia explained before, the communication to clients and public that we continue improving, and training by expert, the one that was presented by Simon, and integrated data system and detailed on-site inspection and verification that we will work together with our validation and verification body. So here are the important dates. So we started the public consultation this month, on the 10th of April. And today we are having a webinar. And next week is the end of our public consultation. So if you still have any comments, please feel free to go to our website under the web page of Global Artisan and check the documents and give your feedbacks. And we will answer and publish the public comments on the 29th of May, the end of the month. And the final version will be published and new rules will be enforced on the 1st of June. And there will be grace period of 3 months. And that on the 1st of September, all of the project must comply with new rules, and failure to do so will result in non-compliance and sanction will be imposed. And regarding the integrated data system, at the moment, biochar tool is still under development. And in the meantime, Excel sheet calculator form will be used. I will share this as well after the public consultation is concluded. And DMRV providers will be contacted by us to integrate bulk density data recording to their system. And in the meantime, sampling record document will be used. The template will be coming from us. And the bulk density or MC max will be integrated as well to the bulk upload template, and other fields will be adjusted as well. And we will inform all of this in more detail through newsletter to our system managers. And then the next step for system manager is CSI will assign the updated Artisan sample taker online academy to the main contact of system manager on the 29th of next month. And if you wish to have other people in the company to be added to the academy, please contact info@Carbon Standards. And in this academy, the videos from Simon will also be explained in more detail. So the first step is to choose which dry matter assessment applicable for your project, whether it's bulk density or MC max, and then assign analyzer internally, and then do the bulk density sample taker. I still add it as bulk density, it should be Artisan sample taker. And number 4 is to prepare your sampling protocol. 5 is to document bulk density measurement according to the protocol. And number 6, if samples need to be sent to the lab, system manager could ask CSI for document for the lab guidance that you can give to the local lab for analysis. And number 7 is to continue production and monitoring as usual. So this is the additional sampling. At the moment, the current Artisan Pro only have retention sample. But for the bulk density, there will be additional retention sample, and it should be airtight. And this is the endorsed tools from CSI. You can find it on our website under shop. And to support our system managers, there will be 20% discount for Carbon Standard clients to get this tool through email to this address. And because there's an additional activity which is analyzing this sample through the machine, there will be additional role, which is analyzer. And the role and responsibility will be to conduct the measurement, ensure the accuracy, and to report it according to the standard. And the minimum qualification would be for this person to complete Artisan Sample Taker Academy course and to have experience with simple laboratory tasks. And thank you. We already received several comments during the public consultation so far, and we will address it on the 29th of May, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the end of public consultation. So we feel free to check the document until next week, because next week will be the end of public consultation. So we can take it into consideration while we are making the final version. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Luki. There is one question in the chat. Just to make sure I understood, the dry matter assessment method and the applied calculation constant, BD or MC max, will always be publicly accessible in the registry for each C-Sync uploaded.
Not in the registry, but in the tool. Because registry will be only the final issued C-Sync, but all of this bulk density and others is part of another calculation in order to get this final result.
All right, thank you, Luki. I see no more questions in the chat. Maybe we will wait a minute to maybe if any other questions are being typed out, and feel free to ask questions verbally as well. Just raise your hand. I meant the monitoring annexes that usually accompany each C-Sync.
Patrizia, you want to help me?
For sure. Yes, the monitoring annex gives information about all the small, tiny amounts that are bundled to a C-Sync that is in the registry. And I'm not 100% sure whether it will be involved, but I'm pretty sure that it will be part of this monitoring annex as well, because it gives you information about each of the small C-Syncs that is bundled together to the big one that is visible in the registry. And I wouldn't see a reason why it's not part of it. So yes, expect that it will be part of it.
All right, thank you. When will the recording be provided? If you mean this recording of the webinar, right after the webinar is finished, I think it will be in the chat, if I'm not wrong. Then I think someone raised their hand. The person that raised their hand can ask the question.
Thank you. Yes, thanks, guys. I don't seem to be able to type a chat. Thank you for this. Just a question, if I don't have a moisture analyzer, does the oven test, the oven drying test still count?
No, we actually replaced it with this method, and you would need to purchase a moisture analyzer. And that's to be done within this 3 month of transition period.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. The original bulk density method using the oven is still acceptable, correct?
I think that's already answered by Patrizia.
That's I think the same question. I see no other questions in the chat. Or yes?
No, it's just to clarify on that. If you have a drying oven, you could still use it, but with the new protocol. So the moisture analyzer, I think, is more easily to transport, to get to, like, the logistics connected to it are easier. So that's why we chose this here in the example. But if you already have a drying oven and know how to work with it, you can apply this new protocol and then dry your biochar sample in the drying oven instead of the moisture analyzer. We just found out that these portable moisture analyzers, as shown in the video, give results as accurate as the drying oven.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. If I have Artisan Pro in different country, does that mean I should purchase for each country?
Yes, it's one for each Artisan Pro.
Okay, thank you. Should it be an analyzer per Artisan Pro, or what's the max distance the sample? Could we use one analyzer for more Artisan Pro? That was already answered right now. So, I see no more questions and no more hands. Yes, no, one hand has been raised. Please ask a question. You are muted.
Yeah. Hello. So this is Victor from Tachibana. I think the question in the chat box, the latter parts, it specified that if the Artisan Pro are close to each other. So the earlier question answered if they are in different countries, but maybe, for example, if the Artisan Pro is just in the next community or a next town, which is just an hour or two, or even 30 minutes, should the Artisan Pro still have a new analyzer, since they are all under the same project? Thank you. Sorry, did you get my question?
I'm not sure whether I got your question. Could you repeat it, please? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, so thank you. The question in the chat box, which you answered earlier, he was saying that the Artisan Pro, if the Artisan Pro is in different country, right? So that's quite like a long distance. The Artisan Pro should acquire a new analyzer for all Artisan Pros. But then, what if the Artisan Pros are close to each other? So let's say in the next community, maybe 30 minutes or an hour, you have another Artisan Pro, and they are all under the same project. Should that Artisan Pro store acquire analyzer, since the same analyzer can be moved to the next Artisan Pro's location?
Yes, so the important thing is that you have a moisture meter available within your reach, and that you have the sample prepared according to the protocol that's Simon presented, and then if you that you take your sample in the airtight bag, the 30-liter sample, and then if you transport this bag to the office where the moisture analyzer is, and then do the rest of the sample preparation, that would be okay. So if it's logistically doable, you can use moisture analyzer for more than one Artisan Pro.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was just a similar question in the chat again, so I just just agreeing with Patrizia there. So we actually developed this in this way, that you assess the volume at site. So you need this standardized box and really assess the volume on site, but then you can transport the biochar. And if that is logistically possible to like kind of share the moisture analyzer with 2 Artisan Pros or 3, and of course you can transport the biochar and do the rest of the protocol there.
All right, thank you. How does biochar affect the neutralization of salts in the soil and increase moisture?
I would say that gives a lot of room and is kind of a different topic. So in order to not take too long to answer this, maybe I would be happy to connect. You can send an email and we can have a talk and a discussion on that separately.
All right, thank you. How robust are the new moisture analyzers?
I guess, Richard, you refer to robust in the sense of how can you transport it and handle it. So yes, they are sensitive, but also I have already transported them across a few continents. So they can be shipped, they can be transported via plane. That has worked so far, but still be careful and pack them. Yeah, trying to buffer any. Protect them well while you transport.
Someone asked, is there some limits in the distance between Artisan Pro under the same project to be able to use just one analyzer?
That is still yet to be defined. I think that depends on a lot of things, and we will address that in the newsletter that we will send to sysing managers next month.
Okay, thank you. Can we get this recording after the meeting? If you mean the webinar recording, it will be in the chat. It will be on our YouTube channel and it can be found on our website under trainings. We are really well set up for the original bulk density analysis. So Simon, it's okay to continue with this.
No, all projects have to now do this bulk density assessment according to the new protocol, because it is definitely a step up in terms of accuracy and allows us to have these bulk density assessment also more frequently carried out. So no, not the old protocol, but you can use the drying oven if you already have one instead of a new moisture. That is something that would be possible.
However, the drying oven takes much longer than the moisture analyzer. That's the advantage of the moisture analyzer, that it has the combined determination of or the combination of weighing scale and heating the sample, so it loses the moisture, and then after it has an automatic control where the weight still changes. And if it doesn't or if the change is minimal for more than 1 minute, then it will say, well, now we are done, it's dry now. While with the oven, you have to comply with the routine of having it in there for 24 hours before you can analyze it.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. We still have a little bit more time for questions, but I do not see any new ones. So feel free to raise your hand or type in your question. All right, that does not seem to be the case. If you do have any questions, please send them to service@carbonstandards.com, and we will be in touch with you as soon as possible. And yeah, I think we are done for today. Thank you to our presenters, and thank you all for joining, and I hope you have a nice rest of the day.